Today I'm pulling the curtains, opening up the kimono, lowering my boxers, and revealing some of the best Klaviyo A/B tests that you can implement and copy so that you can keep increasing your email sales month after month after month after month. I will even go ahead and show you and give you some winning A/B tests we've done, and also a way for you to have unlimited ideas to A/B test. For those new to the channel, I'm Matt Pirelli, founder of the agency Email Engineers, where high 7 and 8 figure brands come to us whenever they need to generate more revenue with email marketing, specifically with Klaviyo. And something we do with our clients or retainer is that we ongoingly A/B test different things every single month. Now, these things that I'm going to list in a moment are big revenue movers. Some of these variables allow us to sometimes even double conversion rates. This is an A/B test done in a welcome flow. 50% of subscribers receive this email, 50% receive this email. And this variation we created had a 2 times higher conversion rate versus the one they have previously set up at another agency. Eventually we run with this variation. So I'm going to show you exactly how we do this. So you can also fill your Klaviyo account, your campaigns, your flows with this type of emails that generate 3 times more sales or 2 times more sales. So you're now basically getting into my brain. Ever seen that movie or that show where they become like tiny people? Like that one movie, I think. So I'm going to shoot you a laser. You're becoming tiny. You're crawling through my nose into my brain. So you can literally steal all of this knowledge. All right, sounds good for you? Because this is literally the process that we use to force scale email sales up month after month and get it to as high as 40 to 50% for some of our clients. So let's begin. First, 3 things that are going to be critical for us. 3 principles to keep in mind whenever we're doing A/B test. In a moment, I'm going to reveal some winning A/B tests for flows and campaigns, but first I have to cover this. First, test shouts and not whispers. As you can imagine, there are some variables that are simply not worth our time to test. I will show you the ones that are worth our time. So you get an idea. Let's say we decided for some reason to test the color of the 3rd button inside of an email. We can logically expect that this test is not going to lead to a huge increase in email sales, right? Not everyone makes it to the bottom of an email. And then for those who do, how could even the color of a set button increase conversion rate at a psychological level to a point that is meaningful for us to invest our time when we could be testing another big lever, right? So that is shouts versus whispers. Not every variable is worth A/B testing. That is critical for us to keep in mind. Second, choose your winners wisely. Here's what I mean. Take a look at this A/B test for a second. This is taken directly from Klaviyo. I'm going to mention Klaviyo a lot. All of our clients, again, high 7 to 8 figures and even 9 figure brands, use Klaviyo because it's simply the best at the moment. Some people complain about pricing, but truth is that nowadays it's just only marginally more expensive than lesser options, while giving you a lot more flexibility to do things, advanced features and a lot of that make that extra 10 to 20% of the cost irrelevant compared to the extra sales that you get because of it. Anyway, this is a screenshot from Klaviyo from an A/B test, which they make super easy to do. And we have 4 emails right here. First, we have a previous email another agency had set up. Then we tested 3 emails. Whenever we're creating flows for a new client, we don't just set up 1 email and call it a day. Test 3 variation. We basically give ourselves house odds at winning, right? And this is the type of thing that you will see when the result is done. So you can see here, we have our open rate. The previous email has a 61% open rate. Then between the 3 ones that we created, another one has similar open rate. 2 of them have abnormally high open rates. So that is cool, right? But open rates do not pay the bills. So let's look at click rates. This variation is a clear winner at almost 8% click rate. The previous variation 2.7, our lowest performer 1.6, and then our second best 4.7. But do click rates pay the bills? Not yet. So let's look at the most important metric of them all, because Klaviyo can make this very, very confusing. The only column we should be looking at is this one right here, and that's a placed order. Sales do pay the bills, so let's take a look at this. I'm showing you how to read and interpret this because not always the results are crystal clear. Sometimes they're very confusing. This is one of those cases which is not immediately clear which variation won. This is how I will interpret this. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, my team and I have generated over $30 million through email marketing, been doing this for over 5 years. And most of these sales have come from improvement. So not just setting up a flow, an email flow when they have nothing set up, but actually coming after a previous agency had set up some flows, implemented a few campaigns, and improving on that. Or a brand's internal team had created something, but we come and improve on that. So most of my experience comes from actual optimization, taking things to the next level. So with that in mind, let's interpret this. There are 3 numbers that we are looking at here. First, we have total sales. How many sales did this variation generate? Then we have this number. How many actual sales, how many buyers this variation generated? And the third one is the average order value. How much money on average each one of these 3 people spend. So here's how I see this. This one is a clear loser in terms of total sales. In terms of total sales, this is the winners and these are even. If we look at the numbers of buyers each variation generated, this and these are losers. These are pretty tied up. Finally, in terms of average order value, this one is a clear winner. Then we have this variation. And finally, these are the losers. So based on this super simplified system, this is what data is telling us at this moment. We're being like Sherlock Holmes here, right? We're seeing if the dog isn't barking at night. We're looking for that strangely polished boot, that strange white stain on somebody's pants, whatever. This one is a clear loser. It didn't generate the most sales nor the most buyers, and it didn't have the higher average order value. So this one, we can rule it out completely. So now the fight is between these 3 variations that we created. One could say these 2 are very tied up. I mean, if you look at the colors, each one has a green, a red, and a yellow. But here's the thing, this high average order value could be just a fluke, honestly. Some guy might be just decide to spend a lot of money. And the low number of buyers that this generated is not super convincing for me. So if I had to bet, I wouldn't bet on this email. So I will actually rule this one out. So the final battle is between this variation and this variation. Which one is the winner? The answer is this. I will simply stop this A/B test and run a new A/B test with variation 1 and variation 3, and then let it run some time until we have more data and we can make a better decision. Because at this time they generated about the same number of buyers, and I will also like to see if this was a fluke. So that is the proper way to interpret an A/B test result in cases where the answer is not super clear. If instead we had the opposite of this and it was just all 3 green lights, we will have a clear winner. We will run with that. Sometimes you see this, most often than not, there's always mixed signals. Now you know how to actually gauge the performance of an A/B test. So this was number 2, choose your winners wisely. Number 3, don't trust Klaviyo. So Klaviyo can't be trusted in the ways they suggest you to set up A/B tests. Here's what happens. Let's say you want to create an A/B test. You go here, you start a flow or a campaign, and you get hit by this. You have your variation A, variation B, you edit whatever it is that you want to edit. Then you have this, test settings. Automatically choose distribution, automatic, traffic starts evenly split, then dynamically shifts towards a variation that performs the best. And this is selected automatically by default. Here's the problem with this, and I think any statistician will agree with me. If you want to do an A/B test, you want to have the exact number of instances for variation 1 and variation 2. You want that split to be even, 50-50. That's going to give you the best data. And out of that, you can come up to a statistically significant result. The problem with this is that it tries to do the thinking for you. It grabs a variation that it's winning and it just sends that more often. But as you know, there are sometimes flukes and that can screw up with our data. So we want to be sending the exact same numbers of emails to variation A, variation B. If we set up another variation here, A, B, C, we will also like for that to be evenly split. So we disable this and you will see it automatically splits it even for you. So that is my first recommendation, disable this. And then I don't know if you catch this, but this is super important. It says traffic starts evenly split, then dynamically shifts toward the variation that performs the best. Perform the best. What is that supposed to mean? Perform the best Borat impersonation? Perform the best what? We don't know. And this is chosen here. Winner selection automatic. The test will run until click rate reaches statistical significance. But as we covered already, do click rates pay the bills? Last time I checked, they do not, and I tried. I went to the bank trying cashing out click rates. They laughed at me. That created my villain arc. So you go here, if you want to avoid this, the humiliation, go here, select configure. You cannot choose place order rate. So instead, you disable this and click save. If we do this and we do this, the only drawback is that we'll have to come back later, a week, 2 weeks, depending on how many people are going through these emails, and select the winning variation ourselves. That's the only drawback. The upside is that we can choose exactly what is the real winner based on sales and not just click rates, which are absolutely meaningless. Then you will scroll up and click publish test. So every time we create an A/B test, we choose an even split distribution and we set this to end manually. Then we simply create a reminder and that's literally it. Else we will be optimizing for the completely wrong metric. Remember the example that I showed you at the beginning? Let's look at it closely. This is another flow. A/B test, 3 different email variations. Let's look at the numbers. Open rates about the same. Click rates, 2 potential winners. And place order rate, there's a huge clear winner right here, both in terms of total sales, total buyers, and average order value. But if we have let Klaviyo choose a winner for us, it will have chosen this variation. That is why we can't let Klaviyo do the thinking for us yet. This is why we have to select an even split and for the test to end manually. Okay, so those are the 3 A/B testing principles. Test shouts, not whispers. Choose your winners wisely, and do not trust Klaviyo. Now let's talk about Flow's A/B test. What works, what doesn't, what is worth testing. This right here was an A/B test for a welcome flow. So what could we have actually tested this that allow one email to have 2.5 times higher sales compared to the second best performer and 3.3 times higher sales compared to the second best performer? Again, shouts, not whispers. Here are the exact variables that we test so we can create and find this type of winners. Emails with 2 times or 3 times higher sales than others. First, these 3 variations were 3 completely different emails. It wasn't a subject line test. We didn't test the button. They were 3 completely different emails all together. And what we have found to be the biggest lever, the best variables for you to test and spend your time on so you can find these winners are these. First, different pain points. If your product solves a problem, try having an email that addresses a completely different problem than the other. Let's say you're selling creatine. One variation could test energy, the other could test endurance, another could test strength building, another could test muscle building. And then each email will address only that one pain point exclusively. We wouldn't try to mix all of these 3 pain points into one email and creating a diluted email that appeals to nobody. We will find what is actually resonating with the subscribers we are attracting, with the subscribers our ads are attracting, being honest, because Facebook is giving us traffic with their algorithm and they have some commonalities. We want to find what resonates best with this audience. We can also test different desire building mechanism. Those of you familiar with our methodology, conviction building, know about this. But in simple terms, it says that to get a sale, to increase the persuasion, to get someone to buy, we have to use 2 forces, trust and desire. So emails have to create enough desire for the product being sold and enough trust about the product and the brand that we can fulfill what we promise. If you stack that, there's absolute certainty you will get the sale. Some people buy faster, some people require more conviction, some people require less conviction. But this is a proven process. So you can test desire building mechanism. This isn't a video just about that, but I'll give you some ideas. One way to create desire is what we call amplifying the mouse. It's about the advertising principle that you do not sell the mousetrap, but you create more fear around the mouse. You magnify the mouse. When the problem is big enough, They just simply have to buy the mousetrap. Another way to create desire is through transformational stories. If your products lend to this is perfect. This is the typical before and after that you see on social media, but you can do this with email. You can create a long storytelling type of emails that tell the story about someone discovered you, and then he was at this lower point of the life, then now they discovered this, they are at the highest point of the life, they found the solution. Another one is appealing to the person they want to become. Selling that instead of a product, selling the person they want to become, selling the big muscular guy and the awesome life that he has, and the product becomes secondary. It just becomes a mean to reach that end. But you double down on that person, that motivational poster they have on the wall, right? So going back to the A/B testing principles, you will have 3 different emails testing these different desire building mechanisms. And finally, those who know about our methodology saw this coming, and it's testing different trust building mechanisms. There are over 17 ways you can create trust through email. We're not going to discover all of those, but here are some examples. If you have a strong guarantee, you can have an email that's just about that. You can see if a welcome email that's just about your strong guarantee performs better. But again, you will make the entire email about that. It wouldn't be just a small section or a PS or a beautiful designed footer at the end of the email, right? It will be a very compelling email about your guarantee. If you're selling something in more competitive markets, such as supplements, skincare, beauty products, you can create trust around a shared philosophy, a shared way of looking at life, how you see things differently, what things you believe differently than others. Because at the end of the day, people are so overwhelmed by claims that they just zone out from them. And what makes people buy is just feeling represented by someone or a brand. It's easier to connect with a person than with a brand. So this is something you can do via text-based emails, for example. Another, if you have a solid authority backing up your products, you can leverage that. Let's say you have a doctor on your team, or you have the studies or a patent, something unique that only you have. You can double down on just that trust building mechanism and make an entire welcome email around that fact. And another big lever is testing emotional versus factual emails. So a different approach, saying what resonates better with your audience at this specific moment of time. But the big takeaway here is that to come up with these winning emails that convert 2, 3 times higher than others, you have to test completely different emails against themselves. It's very rare, we barely see this at all, that just changing the headline inside an email is going to lead to this difference. It's really strange. I don't see this happening often, if at all. Instead, we test completely different emails against themselves. Let's look at another shout that you can test in your flows besides creating entirely emails altogether, and that is offers. People seriously underestimate the power of a good offer. Look at this picture for a moment. We sent the exact same number of subscribers through these new offers. We basically set up 4 pop-ups and each one had a different offer. Offer 1, offer 2, offer 3, offer 4, you get the idea. The exact number of people saw each, but look at the difference in sales. The best offer had 4 times higher sales than the worst performing offer. Same people going through the website, same people coming to your ad, same clicks. The only thing that changed was the offer presented to them. And by offer, I mean testing a flat discount type of thing versus a flat rate discount versus free shipping versus buy one, get 1, buy 1, get 2, buy 1, get a free gift with offer. Then you can also add threshold to each one of these. So 10% off on orders over a certain amount, free shipping on orders over a certain amount, $10 orders a certain amount, free gift with offer on orders over a certain amount. So 4 times more sales. What would you do with 4 times more sales? That would be nice, right? And the problem is that most people just default to the typical 10% off. That is the offer that they run with. They don't even think about it twice. And for me that I've tested this 1,000 times, it is wow. This is why for every one of our clients, we test their welcome offer, because it's just a huge needle mover. And now some will say, and it's actually a fair question, we don't want to give away more margins. And it's fair, and actually our whole email marketing philosophy, conviction building, it's about not giving more discounts, instead relying on better emails to get the sale. So I agree with that. But here's the fun thing. This winning offer you're seeing right here gave away the exact same margin that this offer right here. So it didn't win because it was a bigger offer. For example, this wasn't a 20% off versus a 10% off, and that is why it won. That wasn't the case at all. This particular offer won because we framed it differently. So for example, if you're giving $10 off, you can try saying a $10 gift card, a $10 voucher, which at the end of the day is the exact same thing. It's just a code that they have to apply at checkout. And Klaviyo generates them randomly for you so they don't get leaked. And it's just a random looking code. It's the same thing, a different frame. And that changes the whole game. So that is the second shout worth testing for email flows. Test your offers. And finally, only after you've tested different whole emails against themselves, with different pain points, with different desire building mechanisms, with different trust building mechanisms, trying an emotional versus a factual approach, and you've tested different offers, which all of this is going to take you months, I give you the S-Pass, the pass to test subject lines. Because the truth is that yes, subject lines can influence sales. But again, choose your winners wisely. The only reason why we're optimizing subject lines is to find the one with the highest sales, not the one with the highest opens. It's not uncommon to see this phenomenon. Take a look. In this case, we were testing the exact same emails against each other. Unlike the previous cases where they were completely different emails and it was the same subject line, here it's the opposite. It's the same email but a different subject line. Okay, one variation had a higher open rate. Nice. And it even had a higher click rate. Nice. But can you cash out your open rates? Can you cash out your click rates? No, you can't. So take a look at placed orders and we have a definitive clear winner right here where total sales are higher, total number of buyers are higher, and average order value is higher. So please always keep that in mind. And you might be wondering, how is it that a subject line change created this huge impact? And the answer is simple. Test the exact same variables we discussed about testing whole different emails. Test subject lines that appeal to pain points, subject lines that create desire, subject lines that inject trust, and try different emotional versus factual subject lines. Sometimes the right subject line works as an inception mechanism. It gets people thinking before they even open the email. It gets them in the buying mood and it lowers their defenses. It's very rare that the clickbaity subject line is the one with the highest opens. Keep that in mind. Other times you will A/B test subject lines and you will have results like this where it doesn't really make a difference at all. But again, if you look at sales, there's most likely going to be a clear winner. Never forget though, don't trust Klaviyo because it will have chosen this variation as the winner. And that is certainly the worst performance of it all. And then finally you have instances where the winner is super clear. Like this one, like right here where the winner had an 8% higher open rate, higher click rate, and higher sales, and higher number of buyers, and higher average order value. So yeah, sometimes testing subject lines can lead to big difference in sales, but as you can see, this is only a 1.5x difference. It is not a 4 times difference. It is not a 3.3 times difference. So don't forget that I gave you the S word pass, so use it wisely. Use it only after you've tested offers and you've tested whole different emails against themselves. So then you can add on to that huge difference in sales that you created. And finally, the fourth variable of testing shout versus whispers in flows is this. Let's look at this email, specifically the placed order section, which we know is what we're looking at. If you have multiple flows like most brands do, testing shouts means doing this test that we just went through in your most important flows, the one with the most action, the ones with the most people going through them. So that's most likely your welcome flow and your checkout abandonment flow. Those have the highest volume of people or the people with the highest buying intention. So if you're going to invest energy an effort into something, make it worth your while. Because honestly, some A/B tests aren't easy to pull off, like writing whole emails against each other takes hours to do. So if we were testing this, for example, on a site abandonment flow, which gets triggered when someone visits the homepage, there's low buying intention, we will get some results. It will take us months, and for some smaller brands, even years to see meaningful results. So test shouts, not whispers. There are shout flows and there are whisper flows. Spend your time wisely. Okay, now we finally made it to the campaign section of A/B testing, seeing what is worth your while. How's the energy? Feeling excited with all the ideas that you're gonna test after this video? Hopefully you do, and stay to the end because I have a gift for you at the end, which is going to allow you to come up with unlimited A/B testing ideas. So moving on to campaigns, one-off emails that we send. By now it should be clear that we are not testing subject lines because there are other variables way more important. And most importantly, because of this, if you do a campaign A/B test to find the best subject line, it will have to go like this. Your app will send a variation to 50% of subscribers, another 50% of subscribers, depends on your list size, so you can have significant results. It's going to have to wait for around 6 hours to have enough data, and then it's going to send the winning variation to the remainder 70%. Now here's the funny part. Any possible sales gain influenced by a better subject line is gonna get offset by the fact that you are missing your optimal sending time. So every audience, every market, for example, 70 plus women in the natural weight loss market, they all have common behaviors. That demographic and psychographic most likely acts the same, so the behavior is almost the same. And so each brand has a unique optimal sending times, which is the combination where the open rates are higher and the willingness to buy are higher. So there's some times of the day where audiences are naturally going to the email, checking their emails and opening these emails. And there's also a time of the day where this audience is naturally spending the money. They have some free time which they can allocate to shopping online, browsing Instagram, browsing social media, and they have the ability to buy at set times. So the optimal selling time is a combination of these two. When people are opening emails and when they're actually buying, which you can find in Klaviyo. So if you're using Klaviyo, you have this feature, provided your email list is big enough. I think you need 12,000 subscribers at least or something, so it's not a big number. And you can have them find your optimal selling time. There's a feature right there you can click. And by the end, you will get a graph like this. So you can see open rates here and the time of the day right here. You can clearly see there's a spike in open rates in the morning between 5 a.m. Then it dips hard and it picks back at 3 p.m. until midnight basically. So we have this peak right here. And Klaviyo make it simple. Depending on your list size, you might need to send only one campaign to find this data, or maybe 2 or 3. So this is the first variable, optimal open rates. Because what if people are just commuting through this time and they just open an email to burn some time to entertain themselves, but they don't have like the bandwidth to buy at that time? That wouldn't be the ideal, right? So what you have to look at actually is this graph right here. They don't tell you this right away, but if you put your mouse over these bars, you also can see the placed order rate by time. So let me zoom in, you will get this. So you can see that at 6 a.m. the average order rate is 55% and the placed order rate is 0.1. Then the open rate takes a small hit and the placed order rate is almost halved. Both opens and placed order rate stay down by noon. And they recover at 3 p.m. where the placed order rate is even higher. So again, what we're looking for is this sweet spot. That's a combination between high open rate and high placed order rate, where there's naturally higher willingness to buy. So you can see right here, sending the email at the right time can literally get you twice higher sales. This is why subject line tests are worthless, because by the time significant results are back, you will have missed that golden opportunity to send the email. Unless your optimal time is towards the end of the day, in which case you can get away by sending a test early in the morning and timing the winning variation to be sent at night. That is the only case in which we will A/B test subject lines. But we will only do so for big enough lists where we can send the test variation to 10% of the whole audience, so that we don't waste email sends early at the day when no one is buying, for example, and we just lose those 10% of total sales. So that is how you interpret this graph. This graph is going to make you a lot of money. And it's just another reason why we use Klaviyo. Fun fact, Klaviyo doesn't pay me a thing to promote Klaviyo to you. I just do it because it's the best option. We're actually a Klaviyo partner agency, but they paid us $0. So feel confident that if I'm recommending them, it's not because they pay me, it's not because I love them, because I've actually thrown a lot of shade and I'm constantly calling out their BS on social media and on my email list. But it's just the best option out there for high 7, 8, and 9-figure brands. Moving on, some variables that you can test in your campaigns that are actually going to make a difference. Again, your offers. If you're going to be running an offer a whole quarter, a whole year, you can simply A/B test that offer in a campaign. See if your audience responds better to a buy one, get one type of deal or a flat discount, and see which leads to higher sales. And then just run with that result. See if designed emails with 1 or 2 columns perform better, and then run with that result. By 1 column, I mean literally that, like you have your headline, subheadline, a beautiful email maybe, a call to action, and then just 1 column in a way that is optimized for mobile. So people open your email from mobile can see the whole email, can read completely, they don't have to zoom in, which nobody does. And then you have your 2 columns emails with text here, which for most mobile people, it's impossible to read. So test this variable, find the winner, and then just run with it. Then you can also test one versus many call to actions, like including 1 button at the top and then 1 in the middle and 1 at the end, or just 1 at the end. I can assure you this variation will have higher click rates, but will it lead to higher sales as well? It's worth testing out and then running with that result. And then maybe test it again in 6 months, see if there's been a change in behavior. Test designed versus text-based emails. I have a whole video on this, so I don't want to repeat myself, but text-based emails sometimes convert 5 times better when done right. I have examples in a video that I'm linking somewhere in the description or this video right now, where I break down some really high converting text-based emails and I explain why they work so well and how you can do the same. Another variable worth testing, pushing people to your product or sales or landing pages, which are optimized. If they are good, most likely you're gonna see higher sales from this. And these are 5 variables worth testing. And as usual, see the actual difference in sales that they make, not open rates, not click rates, but in sales, using this simple system that I showed you earlier. So that's it. Hopefully you have plenty of ideas to test now, and it's just not ideas, but worthwhile ideas. Remember, shout versus whispers, choose your winners wisely, and don't trust Klaviyo. Now, if you made it to the end, I have a free gift for you, and it's this spreadsheet right here with 65 A/B test ideas which you can run with. Some are for pop-ups, some for flows, some for campaigns, some are repeatable, some are not. So if you are an agency, you want to ensure your clients get the best results week after week, month after month, implement this. Or if you are an e-com brand and you want to do the same, you want to increase your email sales week after week, month after month, here you have 65 ideas, some of which are repeatable. So you always have something to A/B test. The link to this is going to be in the description, and it is of course completely free. Finally, next you might want to see another video that's going to be linked somewhere now, where I shared the 20 principles that we use to generate $2.4 million out of a tiny list of 11,000 subscribers in 2024. This brand was our client with the smallest list, yet we still managed to generate millions out of it, and in this video I explain exactly how, so you can do the same.